I'm Mike.
And I'm Mike. Welcome to the Discovery Studios here in Lower Manhattan, where we're about to embark on a new series dealing with the topic of golf equipment.
I think what we're trying to do in this setting is teach people the same things we teach them on our website and in the magazine. How to be a smarter consumer in a world that's really complicated and full of a lot of confusing things, but things that'll make them a better golfer.
No doubt. We got a lot of clubs here to deal with. We have a lot of technology to talk about. And hey, how cool is this? We even have our own simulator.
Indeed. Welcome to the Hot List, presented by Dick's Sporting Goods and Golf Galaxy. So it's everybody's favorite topic, drivers. It's the biggest hit on the Golf Digest Hot List. It's what everybody wants to call the sexiest club in the bag, and with good reason, because it's all about hitting the ball farther. And I think what we find this year, looking at the Golf Digest Hot List, this is, in one sense, the hardest year to find a driver that's right for you, and in another sense, the easiest year to find a driver for you. There are, on this year's Hot List, there are, quote, 9 drivers that make the list, but there are really 23 models, and that is a impossible search if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not getting some guidance from a fitter. But the point is, there's a model that's going to maximize your potential.
And it's not just maximizing the potential, it's maximizing the potential for a certain type of golfer. The reason there are 23 drivers instead of only 9 is that there are so many different types of player types. You may need someone who's got a need for ultimate forgiveness. Someone else may need low spin. Someone else may need high launch. Or if you're like me, you might need a draw bias driver.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the search is the challenge. You need to be open to that possibility. It's too easy to say, I know what I am and not know what you are, but just grab the standard model. I think what we've seen in driver design over the last decade or so is obviously this race to more distance. Mm-hmm. The idea that, well, the USGA put limits on how much the face can flex and how much off-center hit forgiveness there can be. So let's push as much as we can, whether it's saving a gram here or using a different material in the face, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, we've got maximum distance. And I think all of these drivers have figured out a way to maximize the way the face flexes, the amount of ball speed that you can get. What we're figuring out now, what we're seeing right now, is sort of beyond distance. This is distance that has no compromise. So in other words, I don't have to have a driver, for instance, that works for everybody, because I only need the Callaway Maverick Max or the TaylorMade Sim Max D. I know those are the drivers that are going to give me the best potential distance, so I don't want another driver because it has things that don't really help me. So I think the idea of optimizing for the individual is where we are, and that's how you get the longest distance.
And it's not just optimizing for the individual, right? I mean, one question we get all the time is, well, the center of the face is maxed out. How do you get more distance? Well, it's easy how you get more distance. We don't hit it on the center of the face very often. You don't hit it on the center of the face at all. And I remember years ago talking with one of the R&D people at one of the big equipment companies, and I said, well, you're pretty much done. You know, the center hit's maxed out. And he took his Sharpie out and he put dots all over the face of a driver. And he goes, when I can make all those behave like the center of the face, that's when I'm done. So driver design evolves. It's for individual players. It's why a club like the Titleist TS1, lightweight club, is really great for grandpa. And why the Titleist TS4, you know, it's for a beast. It's for Adam Scott and maybe not many other players on earth.
And the thing is, those drivers sound different in ways, and they are fundamentally different, but the core technologies, the things that make them work and make the ball go far, are very similar, whether it's thinning out the crown or having a new face structure or new face geometry, whether it's embracing an aerodynamic shape like Sim has done, or embracing 3 different shapes the way Callaway Maverick family has done. We saw this idea several years back. Ping has done it for years with their G drivers. So you had most recently the G410, the G410 Plus, the G410 LST, the G410 SFT. Core technology, but in specific ways that sort of don't compromise for the individual golfer.
Yeah, and one of those individual golfers is me, and I know exactly what we're talking about here because I've experienced it firsthand. You know, my
I've experienced you firsthand also, and it's
a
a
wonderful
special
thing,
moment.
isn't it? Isn't it a great moment? So anyway.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
What we have here are two drivers from Cleveland Golf, the Launcher HB Turbo, the standard version, and the draw version. And I tend to hit, the ball off to the right. Sometimes it's a fade, sometimes it's a pretty big cut. So I need help getting the ball moving left. So this is a standard version. I'm probably going to end up on the right side of the fairway, hopefully, and not in the right trees. Let's take a look.
Yeah, that's in the right
That's
trees.
in the right trees, all right. That's
Looks
a
like
little
fairway,
bit,
though.
That's a wide fairway. I wish all of them were like that. So, that is 58 and a half yards to the right. Now, granted, sitting at the desk there, that's a little bit of a stiff swing, but you get the idea. My typical shot is off to the right.
Well, let's look at that backspin number 2. That's a clear indication that there's way too much spin on your shots, which is also true regardless of what kind of driver you're using.
Exactly. 4,686 RPM a spin. That is way too high for me. Good tee shot should be somewhere 32, 3,300. So we'll haul out the draw version and see if we can't at least get the ball moving a little bit to the left, maybe kill some of that spin a little bit, and take it from there. That is much better, and that's why I use a draw driver.
That is life-changing, boys and girls.
As you can see, that ball's going left of the center line modestly, 19 yards to the left. The spin's still a little high, 3,800, but I will take that. 242 yards off the tee, down the middle, that plays for most folks. And one of the differences and one of the reasons I was able to achieve that is the draw driver takes weight and it puts weight in the heel. That allows the face of the club to rotate through the ball much more efficiently. It also has a shut face. It may not be always pretty to look at, but when that face is turned in a little bit and that face angle's turned in a little bit, that is going to be a very effective means to help you get the ball moving to the left. So anyone who's like me, who has trouble hitting the ball down the middle or even getting it to move right to left, I would implore you, give a draw driver a try, or a driver with adjustability traits that allow you to put weight way into the heel. There are a lot of different ways to get that ball moving to the left.
Well, again, look at the reduction in spin. And I think another thing that we don't really talk about when you're talking about getting in the right driver is that it frees you up to make a better swing when you know the shot to the right isn't in play anymore. Isn't something that is any part of your thought process.
If you're terrified of hitting it into the right trees, you're going to take a tentative swing. There's just no doubt about it. And if you can just free that swing up, you're going to make a much better pass at the ball.
And I think we also need to learn something about the fitting process here too. Whether you're getting fit on a range or getting fit indoor on a simulator with the GC quad that we have here, what's projected in the range is basically all fairway. So it looks like you're getting a lot of roll, even if it lands 50 yards to the right. The fact is, obviously, when you play a golf course, you're in the right trees, you're in the right rough, you're not getting any roll, so the shot's going to be shorter in the rough. If you hit it straighter, if you get it in the fairway, there's a lot more roll once that ball lands. So not only are you straighter, you're longer, and I think generally better looking and more intelligent.
And the beer tastes better at the bar, right?
Especially when someone else is buying it.
Exactly.
Yes.
And the odds are greater of that if you are in the fairway. But I think the real takeaway here is don't be afraid to go out and fiddle with an adjustable driver if you have one. I mean, there are myriad of settings. Go out, take a bucket of balls, take the wrench, try them all out. It reminds me of an interview I did with Charles Howell III last year where I asked him about his Titleist TS3 driver, and I said, hey, Charles, do you ever use the adjustable features on that club? And he said, absolutely I do. He said, I take it out, I try it in all 16 settings, which is a lot. He knows 14 of those settings he's never going to use, but he wants to know what the ball's going to do, how it's going to behave, because he said, you never know if there's a weather condition that might dictate that I need to put it in one of those settings.
Thing is, obviously, as a professional, you want to be very close to your equipment, right? Whatever your job is, you don't want to be holding something that feels completely foreign to you. On a golf course, your job is to be a golfer. You want to be very familiar with your equipment, know how you respond to it, know how it responds, and I think that breeds confidence, that breeds a smoother swing, and let's face it, if you can't get the tee shot right, the whole day is going to be a waste of time.
Pretty bad.
Okay? It is hard to play golf when you're re-teeing several times around.
First-hand knowledge right
Thank you
there.
very much. That's why I'm here.
We are here to inform, educate, hopefully entertain a little bit, but also answer some of the questions that you might have of us. And we received one from the lovely Twitter handle @TheCigarMafia, who hopefully won't whack us if we don't give him the answer he wants. But he asked us, do golf clubs have a shelf life? And you know, it's a question we get quite often. People want to know, you know, is this driver of mine going to hold up over time? And the answer is, if you're a tour player like Cameron Champ, who broke his driver prior to the 2018 Sanderson Farms Championship, probably not. A lot of tour players, they use the club so often, they swing at such a high rate of speed that eventually, you know, metal will fatigue and it will crack or it'll cave in or whatever it'll be. But, you know, for everyday players, I think the answer is a little different.
Well, again, not to cast aspersions on Mr. Cigar Mafia, but what manufacturers do in terms of testing durability is what's called high cycle fatigue. They're hitting thousands of shots at literally 120 miles an hour or faster. Now, 120 mile an hour clubhead speed, that is 0.001% of the population, not just of Earth, but probably the entire solar system. So there are not a lot of individuals who can swing that fast. So if you're not swinging that fast, you may not even get to that point to where you're creating anything like fatigue in the face of a driver. We talked to Dr. Paul Wood at Ping, one of the smartest people we know, and his simple explanation is the club itself will last longer than the golfer using it. Okay, so I think what's going to happen is you're going to want to buy a new driver. You're never going to need to buy a new driver because it doesn't work anymore.
Without a doubt. I mean, I've been playing golf for 45 years, and I've never had a driver that's just flat out broke or had the face cave in or had the face crack. So if you got a club and you use it fairly regularly, how's that? You're going to be able to hold on to that as long as you want to.
And I think the other thing and the beauty of where we are in fitting today is that if you think your driver's lost something, take it in to a place where you're going to get fit. They've got a launch monitor right there. They've got new drivers right there. You just test your driver against the old one. If you see a difference, then you have a decision to make about whether your difference that you're seeing is worth the investment. We think in a lot of cases, especially with the new crop of drivers, you're going to find that it's worth the investment.
As we said, we're here to answer your questions if you have them. If you do, hit up Mike or myself on Twitter. We'll get to them either in this segment, a future show, or online.
Like we've been trying to say, it's not just that new equipment will make you better. It's that the right new equipment will make you better. And the way you get to the right new equipment is to get smarter, get with a fitter, and you're going to get better and more confident with your golf game.
Till next time.